This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. During the next hour, the insane Daryl Wayne and I are going to take a look at a couple of issues facing not only America, but really the world. We're going to wrap our show today with a project called A Time of Remembrance. And we're going to commemorate the deaths of the 200,000 plus people who have died from COVID. And that's taking place this Saturday, just before we record our show. We'll talk about that in about 45 minutes from now. We're also going to spend some time right now, again, talking a little bit about COVID with Jessica Haar. She's Dr. Haar. She is the scientific director of the International Probiotics Association, and we're going to find out more about what probiotics can and can't do for us, and maybe even talk about prebiotics, because that's a word that's been tossed around lately as well. Jessica, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's a real pleasure to be on here.
First of all, you have a degree in bugs, really. I mean, microbes and viruses, bacteria. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's how I explain it to my grandmother. Thank God she's still with us. But when I was studying in my doctorate in the Netherlands, they would always ask me, "What are you working on? What are you studying?" And I would tell them, "Well, I'm looking under microscopes at stuff that's so small I need a microscope to see it." And you're right, I study mostly bacteria and some fungi. Unfortunately, I never was privileged enough to get into the viruses area, but that's what I do study.
As a young girl growing up, were you always interested in science and these kinds of things?
Absolutely. Actually, like you, Mark, I thought I was going to become a doctor. I wanted to become a doctor, and then I realized doctors didn't know enough about food because they were more focused on other elements of health. And so I went and I studied a bit more about food, and then I realized that bacteria and other microbes are just so important for health and life in general. And so I wanted to go study about microbes, and that meandering path kind of led me to probiotics eventually, and here I am. Here we are today.
It's really interesting to me because we're living in a time when we are, I'm going to say germophobic, but we're washing our hands 4 times a day. I don't even go out and I'm washing my hands that many times with antibacterial soap. We've talked about this in the past here on Late Night Health, where maybe we're overdoing it and the bacteria are getting stronger and stronger and not as susceptible to dying like they should have with that antibacterial soap. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think the more bacteria you remove from the surface, certainly you're going to set yourself up potentially for problems for the bacteria that tend to regrow, and that's because the ones that will regrow from some sort of a surface, whether it's our skin or the countertop or your car handle door, the door handles, they're going to be the ones that grow really fast, and they're not always the friendliest. So I do agree that we are certainly changing the microbial composition on surfaces and on ourselves to a certain extent, and inside ourselves as well. Absolutely.
And at the same time, we want to maintain good bacteria in our gut system, which is what the International Probiotics Association is all about.
Absolutely. I mean, way back when, even at the time of Aristotle, when they were, inventing iambic poetry, that type of thing, They were harnessing the benefits of bacteria in food, in aging, and all of those types of things. So we exist with microbes, all kinds of microbes, and I already alluded to the 3 more popular ones: the bacteria, the fungi, and the viruses. But we've been around them for a long time, and they're important because there are good ones and there are bad ones. And obviously, we want to optimize. We want to encourage the good ones to be around us, and so on and so forth, because they help us to educate our bodies and train our immune systems and to recognize, what's going on in our environment and how should we respond to that microbe or this microbe. But obviously, we also want to be able to fight off the bad ones because we encounter both every day, whatever we're doing. We have microbes everywhere around us, and in the soil and the plants and the food we eat. They're in the air, as we've been learning from this pandemic as well. They're supposed to be there, though. They're supposed to be there, but obviously, as you said, and let's just reemphasize, we have to keep ourselves safe. We have to clean our environment, sanitize our environment. We need the social distance and all of that to try and avoid this virus. But on the other hand, one of the things that we are concerned about at the International Probiotics Association is that microbial diversity is being reduced, and that might set us up for long-term health problems. And we already have a lot of negative health trends that are high. I mean, we talked about people being exposed to various communicable diseases, but let's take those off the shelf for a second. Allergies, inflammation, eczema, metabolic disorders, cardiovascular problems. These are all on the rise, and microbes, believe it or not, have actually been linked to some of these diseases. So we want to make sure that we have a good microbial balance, that we have the good ones inside us and on us and around us, and also we know how to deal with, and we're strong enough to deal with the bad ones. So microbes are definitely important for health, Mark, and I'm so happy that you asked that.
Jessica, if you could do me a personal favor, get rid of the fungi commercials on toenail fungus, because they absolutely disgust me. And I was telling somebody about mushrooms not long ago, and she said mushrooms remind her of toenail fungus, and they're different because mushrooms can taste good, and they can be good for you. We are speaking with Jessica Haar. She is the scientific director of the International Probiotics Association. Let's jump into it. Should people be taking, especially now with the pandemic, a probiotic on a daily basis?
That's a really good question, Mark, and I think that it's important to understand what probiotics can do for you. The answer to your question, in my opinion, is yes. Probiotics are safe. They're very well regulated by the FDA under the DSHEA Act. They're very specific, and they're backed by science. So what probiotics can do is a lot, especially for, I know that a lot of boomers tend to listen to your radio show. So if we're speaking about things that probiotics can help with respect to that population, just a couple of things off the top of my head. There's improved cognitive function. Probiotics have been shown to support that learning and memory in patients who have cognitive impairments. Malnutrition is another big one, actually. There's some very strong evidence for lactose intolerance and things like calcium absorption, even in constipation, so regulating your bowel movements, whether you're on one extreme or the other. And, of course, so timely for right now, probiotics have been especially shown to boost immunity, which is, again, so important in these times. And a lot of these are linked back to the way they work in our gut, especially because there's a decline naturally in our gut's microbial diversity that occurs with age, amongst other things, medication and mobility, lifestyle changes. And this reduction in diversity that's natural is not something to be taken lightly. So we want to try and boost that up. And one of the ways that probiotics help with that is they really help to structure the gut and to maintain the integrity, of the gut barrier function. And that helps with a lot of things, not only from, as I mentioned, digestion, but also immunity and so on and so forth.
Jessica, we have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion. Jessica Haar is the scientific director of the International Probiotics Association. You can join us at latenighthealth.com. That's latenighthealth.com. I'm Mark Alyn. The insane Daryl Wayne and I return in just a couple moments. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment. If you're listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Daryl Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308.
Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com.
The latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Daryl Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Daryl Wayne is insane, what does that make me? Criminally insane. Stick around to find out.
Many of the artist interviews for the latest from the greatest have been captured on audiobook. There is a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great information and conversations with people in the industry and people surrounded by the industry, and of course the rock stars themselves.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne. And I said Wayne Insane.
You can find it on Amazon or Blackstone Audio. Search for the latest from the greatest from Daryl Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne, aren't you?
Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn. Coming up, we're going to be talking about a time of remembrance, which is taking place later on this week, commemorating the deaths of the 200,000 plus people who have died from COVID here in the United States. That'll be happening coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes from now. We're going to continue our conversation with Jessica Haar. She is Director of Scientific Affairs for the International Probiotics Association. Jessica, you mentioned earlier that we should all be taking probiotics, especially now during COVID?
Mm-hmm. Yes. One of the ways that they work is to help support our immune system. And, let me be perfectly clear. Probiotics to date have no clinical studies that show that they can prevent or treat COVID-19, but there is still a lot of fallout, and there are ways that we can support our bodies moving on down the line. So I definitely think that probiotics can have a place in the conversation as well to support our health as we sort of navigate this new reality of ours. Yeah.
Got it. I heard a little rugrat, I think, running around your place a few moments ago. Should kids be taking this as well?
I think kids absolutely need to be taking it, Mark, and there's a specific reason for that. That's because beneficial bacteria help children to educate their bodies as to how they need to respond to their environments over time. And we know that kids who are not exposed to good microbes, especially during their developmental years, they tend to have higher rates of allergies and eczema and sort of the litany of things that I mentioned before on the show. And this is, we know better. We really should try to expose our kids as well as we can to the good microbes. But given the current pandemic, we have to social distance. We have to wear masks. We need to be careful. So probiotics are a good way to supplement that good microbial exposure because you know exactly what you're getting with a probiotic. It's, as I mentioned, safe. They're very well regulated. They're specific and they're targeted, and they're backed by science. So kids should certainly, their parents should be certainly thinking about having a probiotic in their daily health regime just to infuse those extra beneficial microbes.
There are a number of different kinds of products. Some are refrigerated. They all claim, that there are live bacteria. They give billions of bacteria, good bacteria, in your in the human gut, the in the body. Do you have a preference on capsules, tablets, or liquid?
I don't think there's any preference. I mean, on a personal note, I take capsules just out of convenience. But the way probiotics are formulated nowadays, you can find all of those different forms, and they're good, viable bacteria. And let's not forget that according to the definition, probiotics are live microorganisms that, when administered in adequate amounts, give health benefits to the person. So, as long as they're alive, then in each of those forms, that's not a problem. I know some people prefer the refrigerated forms or the liquid forms. To them, it feels like it's protecting or better protecting a fragile microbe. But companies are very good at formulating products, whether they're capsules or drops, in a way that also protects the microbes, not only during the entire shelf life, but also as they are ingested and survive the gastrointestinal tract. Because let's face it, our body has natural defenses to protect ourselves against those bad microbes that we encounter all the time in our food or in the air. The stomach acid is supposed to kill a good majority of the microbes that we encounter daily. And so when you're trying to give good bacteria, you also have to help those bacteria to navigate the body's natural defenses so that they can get to where they need to go to do their job.
And at the same time, you mentioned stomach acid. There's some controversy now about you take a supplement, and even though it's got X number of milligrams of vitamin D or C or E or whatever you're taking, that the digestive tract destroys the bulk of that. Is that also true with probiotics?
Well, you're definitely going to lose some of the microbes that you have in a probiotic as they go through the stomach and the small intestine. Because remember, it's a really harsh journey for not only our food, but also for our microbes, because, the stomach acid is extremely strong. You can be anywhere from 2 to 3, depending on the individual, pH in the stomach. And then you transition to the small intestine, and right away the contents that are coming in are hit with bile acids. And then there's another change in pH that happens. And so it's a pretty harsh journey. You are going to lose some microbes, but for the most part, those that survive will be able to functionally exert their benefits. So that's just something to keep in mind. And we see that in all the clinical studies, that show efficacy for probiotics. Even though they're orally ingested and you do lose some, they still work. So that's an encouraging thought. And like I said, there's a lot of technology that's out there that helps the manufacturers to support the microbes as they go through this perilous journey of our body in order to help us.
I had mentioned probiotics to somebody, and I frankly don't remember who that was, not long ago. And they said, oh, no, I don't want to put bacteria into my body. And I tried to explain, and again, I'm a I'm a layperson, okay? I could look through a microscope and I couldn't tell a virus from a bacteria, all right? Something about not doing well in biology class in college. My point is, do we need to educate people on probiotics? Is that what the basis of the International Probiotics Association is all about?
I think to a certain extent, yes. We are trying to definitely educate, the everyday person, from my grandmother to the postman to the neighbors and all of that, about the importance of microbes in our lives. And unfortunately, a lot of people still have the notion that all microbes are bad and all microbes need to be killed. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if we killed all the microbes on the planet and sterilized the planet, we wouldn't survive very long as humans. The world would look so different, Mark. It would look so different. There are microbes everywhere. They help our plants to grow. Why do we need plants? Because plants exchange and circulate and purify the air around us. We eat plants. The things that we eat plants. They purify the water. They're in the animals. They're everywhere. I mean, in us. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for some people, but this is also the good news. We have microbes everywhere. They're in our guts. They're in our ears. They're in our nose. They're on our skin, in our armpits, and they all have a purpose. They help keep our skin soft and clean. They break down sweat in our armpits. They keep other microbes out of our bodies, in our noses and our ears. They help us regulate hormones and neurotransmitters in our gut-brain axis. They even produce vitamins for us in our gut. So they have a role, and they're everywhere, and they're supposed to be there. We don't want to be around the bad ones if we can help it. It's a symbiotic relationship, isn't it? You got it. That's a beautiful way to put it. It's beautiful symbiosis, yes. As a matter of reference, we should talk about briefly, because we only have a couple moments left. You have a specialty in women's health and nutrition, particularly, and you're the founder and chairwoman of Women and Their Microbes. It's a scientific conference. Do women? We don't have time. We're out of time. So next time we talk, if you're willing to come back and put up with our arduous questioning here at Late Night Health, we'd love to talk to you about women and their microbes. Are you willing to do that? I would love to share that, Mark, and I would welcome the opportunity to come back, and I thank you guys so much for your time, and I wish you enhanced microbial diversity and all the best. Stay safe during this time. All the best to you as well. Stay safe. Again, our guest, Jessica Haar, Director of Scientific Affairs for the International Probiotics Association. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. I see that Jessica Lane is packing up in the studio. We will be back in just a couple of moments as Late Night Health continues.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.